Hello students, welcome back to my channel. So let us continue learning data structure, and we have been learning about stacks. In the previous session, we have seen what is stack and how do we represent it in the memory using a one-dimensional array and also linked list. So we had also seen the various operations, right? So today we are going to learn two algorithms regarding the stacks. One is for push operation and pop operation, and also we are going to see what are the advantages of stack, right? So let us start. So first thing is algorithm for push operation. Now what is this push operation? Already I had explained it to you all in the last session that push is nothing but adding an item into the stack. So if at all we have a stack something like this, if at all I want to add another data item, then that is called as push operations. This is also nothing but insertion. Inserting an element into a stack is called as a push operations. Now, for us to perform this particular function, what are the parameters is required? First, we should know what is the name of the stack, and also we need to have a pointer for the top, okay, which we have learned. Same pointer, the top pointer always points at the latest data item or at the top of the stack, right? Next, we also should know what is the size or the maximum size of the stack, and also the data item which we are going to enter. So if at all I am adding 5 into it, this is nothing but my item which I am adding into the stack, right? So these are the 4 things which we should know initially. Now, stack is the array that contains n elements, and top is the pointer to the top element of the array. So here they are explaining once again what does this all mean. So remember, this particular pop-up push operation is we are doing it on an array. So this is the array representation of a stack. Okay, so that is why this stack is the array. So basically this is an array which is containing n elements. So the number of element is n, and top is the pointer to the top element of the array. Item is the element to be inserted. The procedure insert item into the stack is something like this. Okay, so how are we going to do? So first remember, we are going to check if top is equal to n minus 1. Now what is this? This is nothing but checking for overflow. What is an overflow? Overflow is nothing but I have a stack and I can have only 3 items in my stack. But whenever I am trying to add another data item, this is called as overflow. Remember, it is flowing overflowing. Okay. So that is nothing but if we are trying to insert an element into a stack which has exceeded its limit or which is already full is called as overflow. And how can we check? Since this is the array representation, we know that the maximum number of element I can have is n minus 1, isn't it? Because our substitute is starting from 0. So if at all I'm trying to insert it when my top element, top always points at where the top of the stack, isn't it? If my top is equal to n minus 1, which means my stack is already full, and in that case I cannot insert any more item. So that is why very first thing we are going to check if our stack is full. So this is the condition. If top is equal to n minus 1, then we are going to just simply print stack is full, right? And we are going to exit from our algorithm. Suppose in case my stack is not full and I still have a place. Suppose already I have only 2 data items here. My top is pointing over here, isn't it? Because it always points at the top of the stack. Then what is going to happen? My stack is not full. Suppose I can have some more. My n minus 1 is somewhere over here. Then what is going to happen? Then we are going to say top is equal to top plus 1. So increment the top. So I am going to say top is equals to top plus 1. So what is going to happen? My top is going to move over here. Stack of top. So stack is nothing but the name of my array. So when I say stack of top, this is nothing but I am going to say that this particular place, I'm saying whatever that place or the location is there, please add this particular data item. Suppose I want to store 5, then I'm going to say 5 over here and return. So that's all we are doing. So mainly there are 2 conditions you need to check. First one is this and second one is this. First, we are checking if our top is pointing at the maximum number of element possible. That is, if top is equals to n minus 1. If it is true, then we are directly going to say stack is full and we are not going to go any further. Directly, we are exiting. If at all it is not full, then what we are going to do is we are going to first increment top is equal to top plus 1, which means I am first going to move my top from here to here. Then I'm going to say that whatever the array name is of that top, that is this place, has to store the item which I want to store. So that particular item is going to come over here, right? I'm going to store it over here. Then I am returning. So that's all, right? Easy. So this is a push operation. Next, let us see how are we going to do the pop operation. So pop is nothing but deleting. So suppose I have something like this and I want to delete this data item, how I'm going to do? So in order to do a pop operation, I should know the stack name, okay? And then top item, always I should know which is on the top, and also item. This is a variable where I'm going to store the deleted item, right? Now here stack is an array that stores n item. Top is the pointer to the top element. The procedure deleted top item from the stack. Now see here, in the addition or insertion, first we checked for overflow. But when we are deleting, we are going to check for underflow. Now what does this underflow mean? Imagine that my stack is empty, my top is over here, and I'm trying to delete an element. So, which is wrong, isn't it? It's an error. So, this type of error is called as underflow, right? So, first I'm going to check if my top is equal to null. What does that mean? Top is equal to null is nothing but my top is pointing at the base. So, if at all it is pointing at the base, then there is no point of deleting an item from this particular stack, isn't it? So what I'm going to say, I'm going to say stack is empty and I'm going to exit. Next, if at all my stack is not empty, then what I'm going to do? Suppose this is my stack. I have 1 here, 2 here, 3 over here. I want to delete this 3. Obviously, I can delete only the top element, isn't it? So then what I'm going to do? I'm going to first say that item, a variable item is equal to stack of top. So where the top will be pointing in this case? Obviously over here, it always points at the top of the element, isn't it? So top is pointing here. So when I say item of stack of top, when I say that, what value is going to get stored in item? So this is my stack. Stack of top is nothing but 3. So 3 is going to come and get stored over here. So once I store that, what I'm going to do? I'm going to say top is equal to top minus 1. So what I'm doing? I'm moving it from there till here, right? So I'm moving down the top. Now top is pointing here. This means we have deleted this particular item because top always points at the top of the item. So right now, which one is on top? 2 is on top. So that means that I have deleted 3. So as simple as that. So what are the two things we are doing? First, we are checking for the underflow by checking if top is equal to null. That is whether the top is at the base. If at all it is at the base, then I'm directly going to say stack is empty, case closed. Okay, I'm going to exit. Next, if at all it is not the case, then first I'm going to store that particular item, whichever is on top of the stack, into item by saying item is equal to stack of top. And then I'm going to reduce the top because we are doing deletion. So I'm going to reduce top by 1 and then now the top is pointing at the previous data item, right? So this is all about pop operation. So these are the two algorithms in stacks for push and pop operation. So next, what are the applications of stack? Now, as I said, we all know that we are going to go on add item and how are we going to remove? We are going to remove one by one. So this particular characteristic of the stacks is used in many places. The one of the main is to reverse a word. And how do we do that? Suppose I have stack, I'm storing stack, okay? I'm saying stack here. So how am I going to say? First, I will store the first one, isn't it? So I'm saying S, T, A, C, K. Now I'll start popping. So when I'm popping, how does it pop? First, K. then C, then A, then T, then S. So what is this? This is nothing but reverse of this particular word, isn't it? So we use stacks mainly in reversing words. We use this particular stack in order to check if a word is a palindrome. Palindrome is nothing but when we reverse a word, we are going to get the same word. Okay, those are called as palindrome. So stacks are very popularly used in those cases also. And undo mechanisms in text editors. What is this undo mechanism? In words and all, you would have seen there is always an undo mechanism. So how does that happen? So basically, whenever you are doing some word operation, suppose you are writing something in your word. So whenever you write, that particular change is going to get stored over here. Next, you are drawing something. So that particular change is going to get stored here. Then again, you are adding some picture. Okay, you are adding some picture that is going to get stored here. Now you are thinking, no, I don't want all this. So you are going to press that undo. So whenever you say undo, this is going to get popped and we are left with only this. So what you can see in your actual word or any document, only this. Again, you are going to say press and undo, and this is going to get removed from the stack, and automatically here this is going to get removed. Again, you press undo, this is going to get removed, and this is going to remove. You are going to get the blank document which you started with. So this is how this mechanism works, right? Now, so next thing is backtracking. This is a process when you need to access the most recent data element. Now this is similar to data item, or this is similar to undo mechanism, okay, where you're backtracking, you're checking your previous actions, you're going on checking your previous actions. The very good example is for the Libonit, okay. So, or a maze, how do you find a way? Suppose you have started from here and you come over here, you come here, come here, come here, and then you are coming over here and you see that there is a dead end. So what you're going to do, you're going to come back, isn't it? So this coming back is nothing but called as backtracking. You're going to come back and you'll come here and then you come here and then again there is a block here. Again, you're going to come back, then you will move further. So like that, you are going to find a way, isn't it? So this is nothing but backtracking. We are going back to where we came from and we are checking. So this is possible using the stack. How? So we perform certain operation, okay? And then we feel that we have come till here. Then you think that, no, I need to go back here. So what we do is we pop this, right? So this is nothing but backtracking. So what else? What are the other applications? So see, there are many applications. Language processing, space for parameters and local variables is created internally using a stack. Compiler syntax check for matching braces is implemented by using the stack. Now, compiler always check for the syntax. Suppose it is already stored that you should have main and then open close bracket and something like this. And how does a compiler check? It will always check like this. So it will go on adding open bracket, close bracket. Sorry, the close bracket comes first. Close bracket and then open bracket. And we are going to have a close parenthesis, open parenthesis. Now, when the compiler checks, first it will start popping. So whenever it see a close parenthesis and it also has to find out the open parenthesis, only then it will not throw an error. Suppose you have entered main only this, then only one bracket gets stored, isn't it? So as it is popping, it will see one parenthesis, then it has come to the end. There is no closing bracket. Immediately what will say? This is wrong. You have to have open bracket, closing bracket. So something like this, it is going to check your syntax. Okay. So support of recursion. Recursion is nothing but repeating. So if you're repeating a function recursion, you're going to learn further in C++. So function repeating itself. So how many times it can repeat? As and when repeating, it has to end, isn't it? Such recursion functions are also going to get stored in the stack, and it is going to check for every beginning there has to be an end. Only then that is valid, isn't it? So like that, conversion of decimal number into binary. So as and when you're converting binary, the binary elements are going to get stored in the stack. To solve Tower of Hanoi problem you would have known, as when we are changing those circles, it is going to get stored in the stack. Okay, so at expression evaluating or syntax parsing, for example, a plus b plus c. So I cannot have a plus b c. There is a operator missing. So how do we check that? We are going to push it into the stack and then we compare them and then we check it. So there are a lot of advantages like conversion of infix expression to prefix expression. This we are going to learn in detail in the next session. Rearranging railroad cards, quick sort, stock spam problem, runtime memory management. So many more. As you can see, there are many advantages for stack. Okay. So basically, this is a very useful data structure. Right. Now next, let us see a little bit about the arithmetic expression. In the next session, we are going to learn the evaluation of the infix to postfix expression, all that. So before that, let us see what is an arithmetic expression. Now an expression is a combination of operands and operators. Now what is this operands and operator? Operands are nothing but variables are constant. Okay, suppose if I say a plus b, here a and b are my operands and plus is my operator. Okay, so an expression is a combination of operands and operators that after evaluation results in a single value. Okay, so operands consist of constants and variables. Like I said here, it can be 2 plus 4 also. Okay, so here it is constants. An operator consists of these set of values. Right, now what is an expression? Expression can be infix expression, postfix expression, prefix expression. So suppose if I had to explain you briefly, infix expression is nothing but a plus b. So in the operator is in between the operands. Now, so what is a postfix expression? Postfix expression is nothing but a, b plus. So here the operands are coming first and then the operators are coming. You can say the postpaid bill, isn't it? Postpaid bill is something you use the phone and then you are going to pay the bill. So that is what the same logic is used here. You can use that logic to remember. Okay, so a plus ab plus AB plus. So when I say AB plus, the operand is coming in the beginning and the operator coming post the operand. So this is nothing but my postfix expression. What is a prefix? Prefix is opposite to that. I'm going to have plus AB. Okay. So now these expression need not be this small. It can be an entire one-page expression. But then when we represent it like this, we are going to say that they are in the form of infix, postfix, and prefix. Right? So in infix, the operator is in between the operands. In the postfix, the operator is after the operands. And in the prefix, the operators are before the operand. Right. I hope this is clear. So in detail, I have explained here. See, infix expression, if an operator is in between two operands, it is called as infix. For example, this one. Postfix is nothing but if the operator follows the operand, it is called as a postfix. For example, this one, same example. And prefix expression, if an operator precedes two operands, it is called as a prefix, something like this, right? So in the next session, we are going to learn in detail how do we use this stacks in order to convert from infix to postfix or prefix. And also we are going to learn how to evaluate a given expression using the stacks, right? So as of now in this session, only this much, students. Thank you for watching. Take care.